All right, so you guys want to dive into the Menendez brothers. Buckle up, because we're talking about a case with more layers than a cake.
Oh, yeah, this one's a wild ride.
We're digging into some recent articles, one from Sky News and then another from Today. That's an Italian news site, by the way, for anyone who
Right.
I might be wondering. But anyway, get this. This case, it just never seems to go away.
It really doesn't. And it's interesting when you think about it, because it's almost like a twisted American dream gone wrong, right? We're talking Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, exactly.
The heart of it.
Okay, so picture it. It's 1989, palm trees, sunshine, those massive houses.
Yeah.
And then, boom, Jose and Kitty Menendez are found shot to death in their den. Brutal. Multiple times. And it's their sons, Lyle and Erik, who find them and make that, that 911 call.
Oh, I can't even imagine. See, and that's what really gets me about this case, right?
Right.
Because it wasn't just a murder. It was this whole other world. I mean, you're talking about a family, money, privilege, living in a place like Beverly Hills. It was like a scandal wrapped in a tragedy.
It's true, and everyone was glued to it, trying to figure out, okay, was it a robbery? Was it the mob? Some kind of revenge thing? But I think more than that, people were fascinated by this family, by this idea that behind all that wealth, maybe there was something darker going on.
Oh, absolutely. It's like we all kind of have that morbid curiosity, don't we? What goes on behind closed doors, especially when those doors are attached to a mansion.
Yeah.
Of like, we can't look away, even if we want to. In this case, it had all the ingredients, the wealth, the drama, the family secrets. It was like something out of a movie.
And speaking of movies, right? Because here we are all these years later still talking about it. I mean, the Menendez brothers are back in the spotlight.
Exactly. And a lot of that has to do with, well, let's be real, streaming.
You mean that new Netflix series, Monsters?
Monsters. The Lyle and Erik Menendez story, yeah.
Yeah.
It's number one. People are loving it.
It's got a pretty big cast, too. I mean, Javier Bardem,
Chloe Sevigny, they pulled out all the stops with this one. And honestly, it's no wonder people are so drawn to it. It's a fresh take on this case that everyone thought they knew, but this time they're exploring a different angle. They're really leaning into the whole abuse narrative, something that didn't get as much attention back during the original trial.
Yeah, and they are not shying away from the details. I mean, some of the scenes are pretty intense, which has, of course, caused some controversy.
Yeah, for sure, especially with Erik Menendez himself.
Yeah, he has not been quiet about this. So what's he saying?
Well, he's basically calling out the series, saying it's inaccurate. He's used words like dishonest, blatant lies even. And he's even gone as far as accusing Ryan Murphy, the guy who created the show, of having this bad intent with how he's portraying everything. But to be honest, this isn't exactly new for Erik. Even before this series, he's always been really vocal about how he and Lyle are portrayed.
So he really wants to control the narrative, huh?
Absolutely. He wants to make sure his side, his truth, is heard. And that's actually pretty interesting because it leads us to this other development. Netflix, they're also coming out with a documentary about the brothers called The Menendez Brothers. And this one features interviews with both Lyle and Erik.
Wow, so they're really taking control of their story.
Trying to, anyway. And they've got a lot to say, especially Erik. Months before the murders, he wrote this letter to his cousin. Now, this wasn't just any letter. It detailed this intense fear he had of Jose. It even hinted at this pattern of abuse.
And I'm guessing this letter, it's pretty important now.
Oh, absolutely, because it provides this really crucial insight into what was going on in Erik's mind before that night. And it takes on a whole new meaning with these new revelations.
Okay, hold on. New revelations. What revelations?
All right, so we're about to go down a rabbit hole here, even for a case as crazy as the Menendez brothers. Imagine this. A boy band, a documentary, and allegations so serious, so unexpected, they could rewrite this entire case.
You can't just leave me hanging like that. What are we talking about here?
All right, but you got to promise me you're sitting down for this. Remember Menudo?
Wait, as in the band Menudo? Like, Hold Me Tight Menudo.
That's the one.
Wow. Okay, so what does a boy band have to do with the Menendez brothers?
Well, it all circles back to a Peacock documentary from 2023, Menendez Menudo, Boys Betrayed.
Menendez Menudo, Boys Betrayed. Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
So, this documentary, it focuses on Roy Rosselló, who is one of the members of Menudo. And let me tell you, he drops a bombshell.
A bombshell. Okay, you have to elaborate. What kind of bombshell are we talking about?
A bombshell that could change how we look at this entire case. We're talking about accusations that could turn everything upside down. Rosselló, he claims that Jose Menendez, who was an executive at RCA Records back then, well, he claims Jose sexually assaulted him when he was just a teenager.
Whoa, okay, hold on. This is huge. We're not just talking about, like, family drama anymore. This adds a whole other layer to everything.
Right, and it really makes you rethink the whole case, you know?
Huh.
Especially when you consider Erik's letter, his claims of abuse.
Because now it's not just their word against, well, nobody's right. Their father's gone.
Exactly. But now, with Rosselló's accusations, it's like suddenly there's this potential pattern emerging.
And if it's true, it definitely changes how you see José Menendez, and maybe even how you understand Lyle and Erik's state of mind back then.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. This could have huge implications for their case. Don't forget, they're serving life sentences right now.
Right, for murder. But are they saying, what, that they should be exonerated because of this? Because of who their father might have been?
No, it's not about justifying anything. But their legal team, they're using this new information to try to get them a new trial.
Okay, so they're saying this is what's called material to the case. What does that even mean?
It means that if this information about Jose had come out during the original trial, it could have changed everything. The jury, they didn't have the full picture.
I see what you're saying. So what happens next? Are the Menendez brothers actually going to get a new trial?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
As we speak, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, they're investigating these accusations against Jose Menendez. What they find, well, it could change everything.
It's just wild to me how a case from the 80s can still have this much power, this much hold on people. Why do you think that is? What is it about the Menendez brothers that continues to fascinate everyone?
Well, I think it's because this case just keeps throwing curveballs, even after all these years. But it's more than just the twists and turns. I think it's because, at its core, this case forces us to look at some really uncomfortable truths about family, about justice, about where you draw the line between being a victim and being, well, responsible for your actions.
It really makes you wonder how much our judgments are shaped by, well, what we know in the moment, and how often we're willing to reevaluate those judgments when new information comes to light.
Exactly. And in this case, with Lyle and Erik Menendez, it seems like there might be a lot more to the story.
I mean, it really makes you think, right, about how much we think we know, and then something like this comes out, and it's like, wait a minute. So where do we even go from here with the Menendez brothers? Does this new information, I mean, does it change how we see them, how we see what they did, or is it just, like you said, another layer of tragedy in this whole messed up story?
It's the question, isn't it? And it's tough, right? I mean, you can't just erase the fact that two people are dead and that those two people were their parents. No matter what happened, that's huge.
Yeah, there's no getting around that.
Right. But then you have these accusations about Jose Menendez, and suddenly it's like you're seeing the whole family, the whole situation in this totally different light. And it makes you think about abuse, about the kind of damage it does, the scars it leaves, and how sometimes justice, it's not as simple as it seems.
You're right. It makes you wonder just how much we should factor this new information in when we try to make sense of what Lyle and Erik did.
Exactly. And I think that's why people are still so obsessed with this case after all this time, because it's not black and white. It's like we're all trying to figure out, okay, what's right, what's wrong, and what happens when those lines get blurred.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but, like half the pieces are missing. We may never really know what happened in that house.
Maybe not. And that's the thing with the Menendez brothers, isn't it? It's this story that just keeps drawing you in, making you question everything. And even after all this time, it's still got us hooked.
Man, so much to unpack here. Well, that was quite the deep dive. Thanks for, for taking this wild ride with me. And to everyone listening, keep those questions coming. Until next time, remember, there's always more to the story.